Gender stereotypes throughout the world have existed for centuries. There are still several professions today that are associated with women, even if their terms themselves are broad and can be applied to any gender. Nurse, housekeeper, secretary, flight attendant. These jobs seem to all have one thing in common: they involve doing or providing things for other people. These gender roles mostly originated in the Victorian era, in which society decided that men and women take on their own, separate duties in civilization. For men, it is the act of being the breadwinner of the house, going to work and providing for the family. For women, it is being a housewife, taking care of the home and the children while the husband is away. These concepts exist in several cultures, but right now, I'm just going to compare Mexican and American housewives using scenes from the book I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, written by Erica Sanchez, to support my research. The word of focus for Mexican housewife culture is Marianismo. Marianismo is a Hispanic term coined by political scientist Evelyn Stevens that describes the ideal of true femininity, modeled after the Virgin Mary, and emphasizes the role of women as being the nurturers of the family under the authority of men. Stereotypical feminine virtues often appear, such as self-sacrifice, family, feminine passivity, sexual purity, and self-silencing among Hispanic and Latino women. It is important to note that there are multiple critiques of the Marianismo system, mostly about how the data used to support it comes from a majority of middle-class families. In the lower classes, it would be impossible to only have one parent bringing home the money. This is shown in I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, as both of Julia's parents work jobs to support the family, with her mother being a house cleaner and her father working at a candy factory. However, gender roles are still very much prevalent in the household, with Julia's mother doing all of the cooking and cleaning, and her father coming home from work to seemingly just lounge around the house. Julia brings this up as she observes her mother scrubbing dishes in the kitchen, saying, "I wonder what it's like to clean houses all day and then come home and keep cleaning. I hate seeing her this way because it makes me feel so guilty. Guilty for existing. Guilty that she has to work like that for us." The diction of this particular line is also a good example of the pathos that is used several times throughout the book. It's not just teaching you about the gender roles that are present, it's making you feel something about them. The concept of Marianismo isn't so different from American housewife culture. In the 19th century, American women were expected to stay at home, being told that it was their moral duty. Most housewives in the early 1900s had live-in maids to help with the more icky tasks, but as machines continued to grow in popularity, stay-at-home mothers increasingly began to do more and more of the work on their own. Advertisers for such machines took full advantage of this, creating rather manipulative and guilt-trippy flyers, such as this one for General Electric, which reads, "This is the test of the successful mother. She puts first things first. She does not give to sweeping the time that belongs to her children." This is obviously meant to make mothers feel that they're not good enough if they don't invest in electricity, and by extension, be shunned by others who have chosen to invest in it. Housewives in both Mexican and American culture have been subject to being told what makes them a good or bad woman. When describing Marianismo, Stevens declares, "It is the bad woman who enjoys premarital sex, whereas the good woman only experiences it as a marriage requirement." This idea is also represented in Sanchez's work by Julia's mother, who throughout the book recoils at the idea of sex, leading to one of Olga's biggest secrets being that she had lingerie hidden in her bedroom. Julia is afraid of her mother finding out that she herself had participated in such activities, stating, "How do I tell Ama that both of her daughters are and were probably impure?" Julia's fear for both of these situations provides great foreshadowing to the scene in which her mother does find the lingerie, but assumes that it is Julia's, ultimately leading to her finding out that Julia had been having sex. America also insisted that women stay pure until marriage. Afterwards, they were expected to devote themselves to their husbands, to obey them in every sense, and provide for their every need. Becoming a housewife in America wasn't always perceived as a bad thing, however. In black communities, it was a triumph, and became a sort of status symbol, as it meant that their men were earning enough to support a family. In fact, if any wife were to express a want to work, many of their husbands took it personally, as an accusation that they were not earning enough money. The idea of staying at home being a woman's moral duty was still very apparent, and was actively being promoted with statements like, "If women in any field don't do a good job as homemakers, they don't really make a lasting contribution to the world." This was an ongoing idea in Mexican culture as well, reinforced by Julia's mother in Sanchez's book when she speaks aloud in their church. Where I grew up, women were supposed to stay at home and take care of their families. The way women live in this country, having relations with cualquier fulano, and living on their own. I just don't understand it. Maybe my morals are too different for this place. This sentence is obviously hyperbolic in nature, as most of her views on modern women are, but it gives strong insight into how she thinks and how difficult this transition is for her. Nowadays, we've come a long way from the traditional ideas of housewifery, but we still have far to go. Misogyny and workplace discrimination still appear throughout the world, and Erica Sanchez's book does an excellent job of highlighting such issues. Hopefully, it doesn't take another 100 years to make the world a safe and fair place for women to thrive in.